Would like to thank the chairman for giving us this chance to share our experience related to COVID-19 operational issues and conditions we faced in Etisalat facility management. Many issues we faced during the pandemic related to operation, like call center, supply chain, fleet management, and arranging PPE, disinfection, and COVID-19 test. For call center, we have done a lot to work remotely, allocate the staff outside the office, managing the call center, attending and giving direction for all the staff to attend any fault happen all over UAE. For supply chain, we have managed to secure the material for our operational needs during the lockdown. Fleet management, we have many issues we faced related to local authority requirement as social distance could arrange many trips to locate the staff. PPP arranged meeting the safety and local requirement. Disinfection material related to COVID-19 disinfection with local authority needs and requirement. COVID-19 test done for all the staff to avoid the COVID-19 virus. In UAE, there are many issues happened during the lockdown. As operation, we work to avoid any breakdown to our system and our customer. So the staff work mobile and remotely, getting the alarm and attending to that remotely. And the office staff work remotely from home. And after lockdown, we applied social distance and disinfection took place for all the offices. The staff rotated as the number of staff located in office has to be reduced as per local authority requirement. Traveling between cities was very, very difficult. Each city has its own requirement, so we couldn't finally manage all that difficulties. COVID-19 tests are taking place and we could manage it for all the staff also. All the facility management faced many difficulties during these conditions related to the payment, the financial issues, supply chain issues, and it's very difficult, but finally we get over all the issues and we are coming back again to normal and hope we will continue doing our best service for all our clients, meeting their KPI and expectation. Thank you. And now I'd like to introduce Andrea to continue the presentation.
Good afternoon, everyone. Again, thank you for the opportunity for providing us to present our subject. Our subject is, from my side, is to be able to introduce the ISO 41017, which is a new standard. It's in draft format, and it has to do with guidance on emerging management of epidemic prevention in the workplace. It has started off as early as January this year, after the first issues appeared in China. And we're currently working as a team to build it based on the epidemic. Then I will cover some FM aspects of COVID-19 related technologies and the approach to how you move process to digital transformation. Based on the experience of our partners, mainly in the US, we've seen that there's a huge, obviously, demand, but the demand for technology allowing us to manage the cost, manage the resources, supplies, and so on. We've seen that the labor increase is more than 50%, And we see that there's more than 100 to 200% increase in the need of new equipment, tools, and materials related to each industry accordingly. Obviously, there's a huge demand by customers expecting, especially retailers, to be ready, and that is estimated to be at this point 66%. So if we look at the standard, and in particular the 41001, what the standard says is that we need to put in place, if we want to put technology, an integration of processes where within the organization we are able to develop the agreed services. So at the end of the day, we can support our business. Digital transformation is a fancy type of word, but the thing is, with digital transformation, what do we expect is that to be able to take our processes and align them, taking advantage of the digital technology of today. And that covers both facilities and assets itself. The standard 41017, which is currently in progress and is being updated continuously. Hopefully, we will have the first official outcome in January 2021. It follows the existing guidelines of 41001, which I'll mention. And then the purpose of it is to ensure that we keep a health and safety environment, both for our people, our facilities, and the visitors that we have there. It is supposed to give guidelines, and it is giving guidelines for any outbreaks of in relation to diseases in the workplace. So it's not only just for COVID, it's for any other disease that it could be in place, and allows us to manage our operation, our organization, and assume any responsibility to any of the departments within our organization. So it's applicable to any epidemic prevention, but as I'm saying, it's a good test for the COVID to use it for the facility management. So the objective again is managing the spread, maintaining a productivity of organization, ensuring that we are following the guidelines, the international guidelines, and the guidelines of the local government. It is very important that the objective of this standard, and it's very important, gives on providing awareness to all stakeholders related to our facilities, actively providing any related processes for epidemic prevention and control. The standard puts guidelines towards corrective measures and inspections, and it integrates at the same time with your FM operations. So if we look at the facility management processes in place and how that relate to the COVID, we see that communication channels are there for us to establish and supplement it with the COVID-related issues. Human resources, maintenance contracts in place have to be updated. All the quality-related processes, our operations and planning that we are doing, anything related with procurement, especially for the consumables required, and disinfection material, anything related to our space management and into the facilities and awareness to our customers, assets related to the specific COVID, like sensors or anything that people will touch will need to be maintained. Obviously, cost budgets are affected as part of our processes. A lot of the mechanisms for monitoring, KPIs, service level agreements should be in place. Obviously, customer service is related, health, safety, environmental procedures, and any emergency procedures required should an issue arise in related to COVID-19. All these are processes which are part of the ISO 41001 facility management standard and are related to the COVID. What are the technologies today that we have that we can use where we can apply the standards? Well, the most important, as you probably guess, is using a CAFM CMMS, a computer-aided facility management or a computer maintenance management system. Such a system will allow you to utilize standards, from different organization, international organization, things from the Center of Disease and Prevention, or any other ISA guidelines related to cleaning program, so it can be established and managed through the system. It will allow you, based on the process that we need to cover, the schedules we have, and the planning we need to do, to be able to estimate labor requirements, resources requirements, and manage this manpower into scheduling, planning accordingly, including contract management, subcontractors. It has functionality to allow you to set up schedule where cleaning procedures are in place according to the traffic that is happening within our organization, both for internal and external visitors. It allows you to implement mobile solutions whereby which you are able to validate any routines on the cleaning, including any issues to be reported, and properly manage the inventory, especially the custodial related consumables, ensuring that we have enough materials in place. And at the end of the day, to be able to communicate the responsibilities to all parties so everybody knows what needs to be done. So in a system, you'll be able to import any kind of such procedures. You'll be able to select them from a screen, associate them to any particular space, let's say auditorium, and based on the standard or the CDC, for instance, standard, it will give you guidelines as to what cleaning procedures and what disinfection procedures you need to put in place. So there is a library that can be implemented based on the library, based on the size of the space, based on the frequency of usage, like for instance, if it's a school or if it's a mall or whatever. The system will give you some suggested estimate of labor and manage, as well as any scheduling required for that. The estimate will be in man hours, man days, people applied weekly in minutes. So you will have a full reporting of what needs to be done in order to accommodate that. Of course, adjustment can be made according to your space, according to the situation. And based on the changes that you do, the schedules to the cleaning procedures are set up, okay? Each frequency given out to the cleaners or to the pest control or whoever is going to manage your COVID-related issues, with the receiving results. And once the results are put in, we can validate any routine by using inspections, by using dashboards. And then all this information, since it is in a CAFM and CMMS solution, it will update related space management, and so FM related people will be able to follow all your COVID processes. And another major issue is managing the personal equipment of each, all the uniforms, anything provided out to the staff. So how many times they have to change their overalls and so on, the gloves, masks, and so on. And that is related to also the supplies for disinfection and any other cleaning supplies that we need to with a material management. So a material management module and procurement module within a system will allow you to manage all these processes. And then at the end of the day, you are able to visualize the performance of your custodial program through an executive dashboard, creating any custom displays. Usually dashboards today are very user-friendly. You don't need IT support. And again, this will be useful to send out to as awareness on boards, on kiosks, or any kind of form, or even mobiles, or sending out information. So technology today allows us to be able to disseminate information in any way possible. Mobility, every schedule, every work to be done, every inspection is sent down to the mobile. Users are able to, or technicians or workers or disinfection personnel are able to use the mobile. So they have immediate access to their system and with instructions on what they need to follow, take pictures, send it back to the back office. So full communication using mobility to provide online communication with the actual environment. Technologies like AutoCAD integration and BIM integration allow you to visualize where the issues are. So in this cross-section of an AutoCAD, I'm able to visualize where the issues are. Maybe the blue areas there, it has been disaffected, or maybe the green areas, or whatever you want to set up. So you can see in a cross-section where infection has affected our operations and accordingly perform. Now, in the BIM environment, for those who have invested in the building information modeling, you'll be able to see that in a three-dimensional environment. Obviously, it gives you a much broader, much better, much more flexible executive a view of what the issues are, and be able to pinpoint what needs to be done and what needs to be locked down if that is what is going to happen, and so on. Coming down to unified communication technology, what we have had on our desks, which is like a handset, goes away. So technology rapidly moves into soft phones on on a PC. Or on an app using a mobile, whereby which, if imagine of a large organization like Etisalat FM, for instance, being able to be tracked by using just a mobile. So by clicking on a mobile number, or sorry, on a mobile extension, as we call them, we'll be able to find them, or if they're in their office or in their home or wherever they might be, using a soft phone or a PC. We don't care where the main operator is. It could be anywhere in the world, if you like, anywhere, sitting even at home, getting calls, being able to access different systems like CRM systems of the organization, trace and find where anybody is without knowing exactly where they are, just by using these mobile or virtual extensions. Our customers are able to visit us online. They are able to chat with us and communicate with us. Obviously, everybody is aware of the web meetings, but also chat, combination of that. And being able to take over sessions, being able to assist customers in what they're doing, and share videos, files, and everything. So unified communication has a great role to play within technology, or what we are doing today. Now, how do we go about it? Okay, well, it doesn't matter what technology you're using. It doesn't matter how sophisticated, how innovative it is. You need to go back to the basics, and you need to ensure that you have in place the different process. But in general, the ISO organization gives you, and this is a whole methodology, and I'm just trying to summarize it in 1 minute, whereby which, if you're going to implement any ISO standard, then you need to follow the PDCA approach, which is planning, okay, establishing the objectives of the processes you want to establish. Is 2, implementation, the processes, the actual processes. Check, ensure that you have met your objectives. 8, take any actions related to improving the process. So, as I said, this is a whole methodology, but it's a very valid methodology to be used for implementing any kind of procedures within our environment. At the same time, once you put the methodology of implementing the standard, okay, you need to establish the methodology and the approach for going towards digital transformation. Again, digital transformation depends on processes. So the first step that you will need to do is ensure that you audit your current COVID-19 standard procedures and best practices, develop any gap analysis you have related to these standards, redefine your data and process based on the gap analysis that you have identified, map any data and process to possible digital technology, look at technologies that will be able to, like the ones I have mentioned before, okay, and be able to put together a plan. Digital transformation is not about a big bang. You don't just move to digital transformation from day 1 to day 2. It's a continuous update. It's a phased approach implementation. So you need to put down a plan which is realistic, and then the implementation where you'll be able to implement step by step all the process that you require. It is It is important to mention that our company, Virtual IT, and Etisalat are working together right now in implementing such solutions, both in the aspect of providing solutions like coming from WebTMA and American CAFM system, but at the same time, establish processes based on two standards, the ISO 55000 and ISO 41001. So working together as a team, we are now able to provide a total solution from technology to processes, procedures, down to the services required to implement that. And with that, I would like to invite you, if you have any questions that you would like to ask at this point, and me and Jabba can assist you with. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jabba, and thank you, Andreas. I think it's something which everyone will resonate with, and the challenges that we face. You've made some really good, strong points, and I think that the interesting thing there, when you talk about 41,017, I don't think the timing could have been any better. I mean, Andreas, I mean, just tell me a little bit about you mentioned about 55,000 and the 41,001 series of ISO and this holistic approach. I mean, what issues have you identified, or have you seen across these two? Is there anything that's conflicting across these two standards?
It's actually complementing. I belong to both these international committees, and every time one of the committee comes with a resolution, the other committee is asked to either accept or employ within their committee. So based on my research, because this was a question that I have had myself, and talking to the previous chairman, which actually Stan Mitchell, which left yesterday, the ISO 41001 from the chairman, he explained to me that ISO 41001 is the umbrella of all facilities, assets, and maintenance related quality control systems coming from the ISO. So looking from the top, ISO 41001 interrelates to 55,000 because it's one of the core issues of facility management is managing assets. So it is living. I mean, you will not see within ISO 41001 specific mention on asset management. It will just direct you to the 55,000. And another committee that I belong to, which is the EN 15221, which is the facility management from the European perspective. We also, every time that there's a resolution in any of these committees, we are asked to actually, comply to it. So everything is interrelated. So, and we see more of that coming. There are 2 or 3 other different ISO related to maintenance, energy management, and so on. They're all coming under the ISO 41001 umbrella.
Yeah, it's interesting that, because I think that it's like we're all aware of how many different facets there are to facilities management and how broad it stretches now in terms of its discussion. So it's interesting how these standards are being developed now to interconnect with each other. So we've got Stan later on the call later on in the day, so it'll be interesting to see how he goes on with that one. I think one of the questions I'd be interested to ask is, I mean, once COVID's gone away, I mean, what do you think is going to be the lasting effect on technology?
Well, I mean, I think that the juiciest fruit in the world is the brain. And once you push the brain and squeeze the brain, a lot of things come out. And one of the things that has happened in the last few months, since early March, is that our brains have been squeezed, and we are seeing technologies that they were nice to have, they were sitting there, or becoming at the front end. We see robotics, we see things from artificial intelligence, IoT. So once this inertia is gone out, we see FM turning into a science. And this science is coming from the universities. So even talking to some new generation people coming to the market, we see that the new generation workforce is requesting that we will have technology. So I see the new generation will be pushing technology as much, and will be mandatory to enter into the facility management even after the COVID era.
Yeah, okay, interesting. Are you seeing much of, and I don't know whether you're best placed to answer this, but I'll give it a go. Are you seeing much AI coming into FM? And if you are, where do you see it?
Okay, well, take the energy management. Take the energy management sector, for instance. If you have buildings, with
Here. Look in from this. Okay, here.
Sorry,
Now I have looking from something.
Sorry, I think we've got a bit of disturbance online. I think we've got Jabber Ali joining us on the call. Jabber, thank you very much indeed. Sorry about the technical issue there that we faced, but thank you very much for joining us. So Jabber's from Etisalat Facilities Management. So please accept the technical issues that we faced there. So sorry, Andreas, we were just going back with regards to the AI and how that's been adopted within FM.
Where we see AI being used is all the new systems that are out there. Take BMS, for instance. BMS, from what it used to be 20 years to what it used today is itself an artificial intelligence system. Terabytes of data are created from different systems, being CAFM systems, being IoT devices, any kind of sensor, BMS. All this information, they have a lot of dirty data, as we say. So one of the things that AI is doing is cleansing the data, ensuring that the data coming from whatever device, we need to identify, and then it's converting them what we call information silos. Then the next level of artificial intelligence is to be able to take these silos of information and combine them into knowledge, into KPIs, into dashboards. Now, artificial intelligence comes in two perspectives. It learns from its mistakes. And if it finds something that was wrong in the data, the next time it finds it aborts it. And then once it finds what is useful to the end, because at the end of the day, artificial intelligence has to present what is coming out to some, scientist, some engineer who will have to make decisions. And based on the decisions made, artificial intelligence comes back, learns from these mistakes, and continues forever and ever and ever and ever.
Yeah,
if you allow me, one example, which actually my son is working in the National Grid in the UK, where they use data science to manage all the distribution of electricity. And they have huge systems with huge algorithms of data science, whereby which any changes that happens to the network creates immediately changes to the whole network, whereby which no interruption of electricity happens at any time. So if one provider is providing a new generation engine, or if there is a new problem, immediately you see that change coming through data science.
Yeah, great, interesting. Jabber, can you hear me okay? I think we've got your microphone on. I'm hoping you can hear me okay. Is that are you with me? Can you hear me, Jabber? No, I think we've got a slight technical problem still there with that. So Andreas, let me come back to Jabber in just a short while. I think with technology, what we often see is that as FMs, we tend to be a little bit more familiar with the current day technology in terms of the IoT devices that are put out there and the technology to drive energy and sustainability, energy management and sustainability. And I think that the AI part and the learning, the machine learning element is going to become quite prevalent. The question is how we as FMs can adopt this and learn these new skills on some of these things that you've just mentioned.
This is when digital transformation comes into place. I mean, it's good to employ technologies, but it goes back to the basics, and this is what I was trying to, emphasize in my presentation. And as a technologist, 15 years back when we started working with FM, we had to apply processes and procedures. So it doesn't matter how advanced or innovative or I don't know how good the technology or flexible it is, unless you go down to the principles, there's no way you can implement it. So I think what is important is you need to get people who understand FM business, okay, and convert them into technologists. If you try to do that, if you try to do the other way, you will fail. Why? Because technologies are based on logic, and facility management logic sometimes doesn't help you, as I found the hard way.
We always find out that logic doesn't always prevail, I'm afraid. So Jabber, are you okay now? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. Listen, thank you. And my apologies for the technical challenges we've been facing this morning. I guess this is what happens when we're broadcasting live on these calls. So my apologies, but regardless, it's great to have you with us. I've just got a couple of questions for you. We've just been talking to Andreas about in your opening statement, we were talking about how digital transformation can help us to address the issues that we've been faced with COVID. And I think that one of the things I'd be interested to understand is, from a business's point of view as Etisalat Facilities Management, how are you managing the costs related to this? How do you deal with this?
The management decided to absorb all this cost associated with the COVID-19 procedure process, PPE. So no cost to customer, to client. We have taken it all over it in our cost. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right. We just hope that we're at the back end of it. The sooner the better. And I think we're very fortunate being here in the UAE in terms of the way that this has been managed compared to some other regions and countries around the world. So yeah, we're thankful to everyone for keeping us all safe. Let me ask you a question, Jabba. From a COVID perspective, I mean, how have you found that your teams and your clients have needed to adjust to the issues that have come out through this?
Yeah, it's new experience for all of us. I think we are facing in our daily operation. But yes, for our staff, it's very important to be a safe side. So we applied many precaution procedure as per local authority, starting from disinfection, giving the PPE requirement for all the staff, and making sure everybody is safe, safe environment, and social distance apply in the fleet, transportation, accommodation, and all over. And yes, I think maybe we'll digital. It's very important. We started digital for all our office work. So we started with zero paperwork. So digitally, it's helped us a lot on this environment.
I think it's quite interesting because I think that when COVID hit, every single one of us across every single industry was kind of trying to, I'm going to say wing it, but we was learning as we go in terms of where we were at. And let's hope that once this is out of the way, that it doesn't come back and it's put to bed. So no, it's interesting. So thank you very much indeed. I think that, I mean, I do have one question specific, if I can just go back to Andreas. And Andreas, I'd be interested to know from your point of view, as FMs, and Jabba works on the supply side in the same way that I do in terms of FM. I'm interested to know from your point of view, as being a little bit more independent, if I could say, about how you see facilities management and the adoption of its technology compared to perhaps some of the other industries.
Well, there are like 4 or 5 core technologies today, and I would say cloud usage of the cloud computing, using of IoT devices, using of artificial intelligence, data science, mobility. These are like the core technologies around the world. So all of the industries are trying to use these technologies, core technologies, to put to enhance their capabilities as well. I mean, one of the experience, I was talking to an insurance company, association, and in the same way, they have a lot of data. Okay, so their data needs to be manipulated. So artificial intelligence, data science is there for there. There are insurance brokers. They use mobility. So as we have technicians going out and fixing problems, insurance brokers are using mobility to go out and make insurances, putting claims together, taking pictures of accidents. So maybe if I can, the closest I can relate to an FM problem is an accident, or where an insurance broker has to go and take some pictures, put some testaments, put some information. In the same way, a worker will go in his a mobile application and will enter a work order information. It will take some barcodes. It will enter some spare parts use and any time they spend. So you see that one is helping the other in a way. And obviously technologies that bring them out they try to squeeze out what they can do out of them, you know.
Yeah.
So once you bring out of technology, you need to expand them anywhere in the world, whatever industry you can.
It's interesting that different industries are using technology in different ways, but that's been it's been a great insight. So I have to say, Andreas, thank you very much indeed for your contribution, your presentation, and Jabal Ali, Jabal Ali from Etisalat Facilities Management. Thank you very much indeed for joining us and your contribution, and thank you for keeping us all safe. So thank you very much indeed.